Hello and welcome to the third episode that I'll be posting in the tutorial platformer series. And in today, we're gonna be understanding more about the tilesets and actually creating our very first map. So to do this, we're just gonna use the pre-cut tilesets that we actually already got from the previous video. If you haven't watched the previous video, I suggest watching the previous video to get the tilesets cut. So now, if you want to try and create the map, we can use this paint tool here, paintbrush tool, and click here. But then when we move it to the hierarchy or to the scene view, there's nothing adding. Well, it's because the tilesets in Unity already has a specific hierarchy or object for it to draw on. You need like a canvas for a painting. So this also applies for tilesets. You need something for the tilesets to be drawn on it. So to do this, to draw the tilesets into the map, we can go to the hierarchy, right click it, and go to the 2D object, and then we can go to the tile map. Once you click it, it's gonna bring out a grid view, and as you can see from the grid, it has a small arrow beside of it, and if you click it, you can see all the objects that the grid is actually parenting. So this is a new term for all of you guys, and it's called parenting. So parenting is actually a new term for all of you, and it's basically where an object is classed inside of it. So as you can see, game level 1 is actually parenting all of our game objects here. So if you click this arrow here, all of our objects can be identified inside of game level 1. That's what it's trying to say. So basically, grid is parenting tile map. So back to the present, we can see that we have a tile map here. And if we just go to the tile palette, and if you guys don't know how to get the tile palette, it's really simple. Let me show you guys how to open the tile map. So for those of you who doesn't know how to make the tile map, it's really simple. All you need to click is the Windows button to the 2D and tile palette. And there you go. And it's gonna load this. And it's basically your personal choice where you want to put this window, but then I prefer it to be placed in the inspector, because you can switch directly. Okay, so back to the tile map. As you can see, the active tile map is tile map, but we want to make 2 layers of tile maps because we want one for the background and one for the foreground. So what I'm going to do is duplicate. As you can see, it duplicates the object, and then rename this to background and foreground. So I want you guys to rename the tile map to background and the tile map 1 to foreground. So we're gonna do this challenge, and I challenge you guys to actually rename tile map to background and tile map 1 to foreground. Okay, so for all of those that successfully rename tile map to background, that's very nice. And for those of you who don't know how to rename it, it's fine. Like I said before, I want this to be the most educational video as possible. So I want you guys to actually be involved in the steps. So if you don't know how to do it, it's fine. You can just see me how. You can just see. It's fine. If you don't know how to do it, it's fine. You can see me doing it right now. So what you do is you go to the object, go to the inspector, and go to this name bar right here, name tag here, and just rename it to background. And as you can see, it renames directly, and the tile map 1 will change it to foreground. Foreground. Okay. So now we have background and foreground. Okay, so now we're gonna go to the tile palette and just start painting. So the way we can do this is we go to the paint tool here, paint with active brush. Click one of the tiles, any of these tiles first. I'm just gonna take this tile right here and just drag it here. As you can see, we are painting, but then the picture is so small. The reason why it's so small is, like I said before, this asset that we're using is actually using 16 pixels per tile, and I did not change that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the Sunnyland, we're gonna go to the environment folder, gonna go to the tile sets because this is the one that we cut, and just change pixels per unit to 16. 16. And as you can see, the picture is one block. There you go. And as you can see just now, I've been scrolling and unscrolling and zooming in, zooming out. The way to do this is you go to the top palette and just scroll up and scroll down. Okay, now we're just gonna make some maps here. You can see we can draw, and to erase any of this, we can go to the eraser tool right here and just erase. It's basically like a very free tool, and you can go creative because as long as you have these boxes here, which exceeds like forever, you can draw anywhere you want. For this, let's take this for example here. You can see it's very responsive and you can draw anywhere you want. So another cool feature that I want to show you guys is the amount of parts you want to delete. So let's just say we want to delete, let's see, this is a lot of blocks, right? Instead of just deleting one by one, we can just go to here, drag this much, go to eraser, and it's gonna detect that much. And don't worry erasing your character. As you can see here, I'm trying to erase the character. It can't because, like I said before, it's stuck with the grid. Because the top palette is actually connected to the grid, it won't delete anything else than the top palette that we just drawn. That's a very handy tool, and this also applies for when we're going to paint. So let's just say we want to paint this 4 blocks here. Just want to paint this 4 blocks. And just easily drag. Just drag all of this 4, and just start painting. As you can see, the picture is not that great when you drag it all. You just gotta make it. You gotta make sure that you move 4 by 4 like this. 2 blocks here, 1 block up, and there you have it. That's how simple it is to actually draw and edit tiles in Unity. Another task that I want to assign you guys is actually trying to cut the background. As you can see in the environment folder, we can have a background. This background right here. I want you guys to cut this background and try to make it a tile set. I know this is a pretty big challenge for you guys, but then if you guys can do it, it's gonna be so helpful when you guys are gonna cut the tiles and edit maps. So try to do this by yourself. I know it's a challenge, but then try to do it by yourself first, and then if you can't do it, you can always watch the video and learn how to do it. So pause the video right here, do the challenge, which is click the background, click the back image right here, cut it into a tile set like this. So pause the video right now and do the challenge. Okay, so for those of you who succeeded in challenge, I'm very impressed, and you guys deserve an applause. And for those of you who don't know how to do it, it's fine, because it's a pretty big challenge, and I know you guys are still confused with the simple moving and cutting tile sets in Unity, so it's fine. So the way to do it is we go to Sunnyland tile set, and we just want to make a new tile set, remember? So we're gonna go, but before that, we can actually make a simpler way. Okay, so for those of you who cannot do it, it's fine. It's part of the learning process, and well, it's a pretty big challenge, so it's fine. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go to the background here, click this, go to the inspector tool, and make sure that the pixel per unit is 16. Then once we click apply, it's gonna apply it. I'm gonna make the pixel per unit 16. I'm gonna go to sprite editor, and then we're just gonna cut the sprite. To do this, gotta change the sprite mode from single to multiple. Go to the sprite editor again, apply this. Go to the sprite editor, and then you gotta go to custom. We can go to slice here, and we gotta go grid by cell size, and make sure it's 16 by 16 again, because everything in this asset is 16 by 16. Click slice. It's gonna form grid, click close, click apply on it, and then it's basically done. Now you're gonna go to the tile palette, go to the create new palette here, and just say, let's just say what's called background Sunnyland. Okay, and then create, click create. Make sure that you're gonna go to the assets and save in the tile sets. We're just gonna make sure that all the files are organized. So select folder, and then we're gonna drag the background to here. It's gonna ask us where we're gonna save it again. Go to the tile sets, because this folder is specially designed for this. Select folder, and it's gonna generate. Okay, so now you got the background here, and if we just paste this background right here by selecting all of this and go to the paint, we can actually paint the background. So let's do this again. So what you're gonna do is gonna click the paint, select by clicking on the first tile, drag it until the end of the tile, right? And make sure the paint tool is still selected, and then just drag it right over here. See, we're gonna go to here, go here. That's it. Then if we want to change to our tile sets, like, oh no, what happened with our old tile sets, like the one that has dirt and stuff? What you're gonna do is you're gonna click on this arrow here, and it's gonna go to Sunnyland tile set, and there you go. So now we're just gonna, let's just say we're gonna paint this. Here we're gonna make a map. Make a map like this. Then we're just gonna draw this here. Oh, and then look at this. It has these holes. As you can see, it has these holes. We want the background to be still seen, right? We don't want these holes here. It's gonna make the game bad. As you can see, these are just holes. So what we're gonna do here is actually delete all of this first. Delete. So what we're actually gonna do is, like I said before, we already made a background tile for it, right? So what you're gonna do is gonna go to background Sunnyland, and just make sure the active tile set is background, because if we did like before, it's in foreground, it's gonna say that we're painting in the foreground grid, while we want this to be in the background grid, because we want it to be separate. We want the background to be at the back, and we want the foreground to be in the front a little bit. So we're gonna make sure we're gonna select background and drag all of this here again, and just draw here, draw again here. There you have it. Now we're gonna go back to our mouse, go to the Sunnyland tile set again, and draw our tiny platform. As you can see, the problem does not persist anymore, but then when we draw here, it still happens. Well, another reason why this could happen is because both of these are in the same layer. It's both of these grids are still in the layer default. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the layer default, create add layer, let's just say background and foreground. Right? Okay, background, foreground. Go to the background, select layer background, and foreground, select layer foreground. Just gonna see that the image now renders with the background and the back. But as you can see here, it's still having problems because I've changed the picture before I actually edit, so we're just gonna delete that. Background, delete this. Sunnyland background tile sets. Repaint this. As you can see, there's a hole here. So what you're gonna do if you have a hole is you can simply drag the background again on top of it, and it's gonna cover it. Cover it. There you go. We select the foreground, go to the Sunnyland tileset again, click this, and draw our tilesets. Okay, so let's just revise from what we've learned just now. So the way it works from the layers is that the higher it is in the top, the better, or like the front or at the back here. So if you put foreground, it means that foreground is in the front of background. Meanwhile, if you just switch the positions, like instead of just say foreground is here, let's say that let's just say here, foreground is here, and background is here. If we take user layer 13 and 14, we can see that foreground is actually at the back of background. So background is more in the front. So this is a very useful layer because you can now assign which parts of the map you want to see in the front and which part of the map you want to see at the back as for background. Okay, that's a very nice feature. Now if we delete this right here, it's still fine. Okay, so now I want you guys to do this as part of a challenge, a very simple one, which is to make your own map. Be creative when making your map, as all of the tools you need are here already. If you want to extend the background, you go to Sunnyland Tilesets, Background, make sure that the active tile map is background too, and then just drag all of this and just paste it here. Paste, paste, and continue and so on. And if you want to add more, tiles like the dirt and stuff, go to Sunnyland Tileset, select foreground, and then just select the tiles you want. So let's just say we want this to be at the edge here like this. Then we want this here. Want this. Then like this. Yeah. So be creative when making your maps, and pause the video right here and just continue once you're done. Okay, so this is a reasonable amount of space for my player to move, and yeah, as you can see, there's a line here. It's not a big problem because it's gonna be fixed in the next video, and for the meantime, I think that's enough for today because now you guys can make your maps. Feel free to make whatever map you want and just start playing around with the tile palette that our asset has given. You can also add these parts here. Let me make sure it's the foreground. You can add these parts for the edges of the map, like here. Here, edges of the map like this. Or any floating platformers. Yeah. Okay, that's it for me today. I hope you guys understand more about Unity, and I hope this video is very useful for you guys who want to actually make 2D platformers and making your own maps. So yeah, have fun making your maps, and I'll see you in the next video.